Hello and welcome to the March 24th edition of the FloTrack podcast. My name is Lincoln Shrike, joined by Gordon Mack. The email, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. Send us in your questions on today's show. Well, news just came in. News just broke from the IOC. The Olympics have officially been postponed, so we will not have an Olympic Games in 2020. Looking like 2021 is that time. Gordon, how you doing, and what did you think when you heard the news?
Well, we literally had a podcast 24 hours ago talking about how it was likely going to happen. I thought there would be a delay in the announcement, but like society, they want instant gratification with their news. So IOC was forced to not wait 4 weeks. They're forced to make the same decision they would have made 4 weeks from now and postpone the games out of caution. And yeah, it's the reality. I think in the end, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for our sport and for other Olympic sports because, this is an event that only happens every 4 years. For there to be an 8-year period where it's every 5 and then 3 years, I don't think it's that drastic of a change. So in the end, it being postponed a year when you only have it once every 4 years isn't that big of a deal, in my opinion, because after 2021, we'll just be getting ready for 2024.
Is your opinion still, though, that it was a premature decision?
Yes, I still think that. But I'm also very open to the idea that this would have been the same decision 4 weeks from now. I think they should have been allowed to wait 4 more weeks, but this is the world we live in. People don't want to wait, so I'm okay with it. Either way, whether they, as someone, my perspective doesn't really change, and I don't, people got to do what they got to do, right? So, yeah, Olympics postponed, and yeah, I think it's just a reality. Yeah. I think, it doesn't, there is a lot of ramifications financially, logistically, that the regular person doesn't have to deal with or think about. Like whether the Olympics happen in 2021 or 2020 has no impact on me. And even in a way, not really that large of an impact on the elite athletes, because if they're going to be elite, they'll still be elite a year from now, like a majority of them. The big impact is the financial impact of cancellations, who is, going to have to deal with the extra cost of shifting one of the biggest events in the world a whole year later. So.
The ramifications are almost infinite to other sporting events. We mentioned yesterday, 33 Olympic sports. Of course, we just focus on track and field here, but every sport's going to be rejiggering around their schedule. I just want to say the statement came down today from not just Thomas Bach, but the Prime Minister of Japan. So I guess it's good that the Japanese are in support of this as well, are going to be able to move things around, because they mentioned a couple days ago, that millions of nights of hotel rooms were going to have to be moved around. So we said it yesterday, I'll say it again, the logistical nightmare of this is just starting. But the good news for athletes and fans, those of us who aren't involved with the organization of this, is we get an Olympic Games next year. So that's exciting. 2020 is a bummer. This year has absolutely sucked so far, but we'll have a games next year, and it'll be much safer and much less controversial. And we don't know when it's going to be exactly yet, but I think you have to be okay with the decision. Plus, on the bright side, athletes that won in 2016, they get another year to be defending champions. So not the worst thing for them, right?
Yeah, Central gets to hold on to that. I'm a gold medalist for another whole year. Yeah. Can still put that on his byline on his Instagram byline for another year.
There you go. And it'd be more impressive if you defend your title, because it was another year later. Okay, so we still have so many questions to answer. So many. First and foremost, Kevin Soley, our great colleague, was supposed to be on this podcast. He is not, because his internet connection was throwing a fit, I guess, really upset about the Olympics being postponed. But thankfully, Kevin has organized and written down the 10 biggest questions now that the Olympics are postponed. So we'll just kind of run through those and chat about them. And his first one, what new date will they decide on? We don't know that yet. So I don't know how much we can riff on that. They said no later than the summer, so we know it's probably going to be July, August, similar type of a thing. The Eugene World Championships will obviously have to be moved, but I don't know. I don't really know how much we can debate on this because we have no idea when the Olympics are going to be set for 2021.
I mean, if I had to guess, it's going to be within the same 4-week span that all the other previous Summer Olympics have been. I
Sure.
think that I think there's a reason they do it in the summer because I think a lot of the other sports kind of work around that, knowing that the Olympics are in the summer and the Winter Olympics are in the winter. So I think it's just going to be 2021 and a specific summertime. Like I don't see like a March 2021 championships or a November 2020 Olympics. I think it's just
No.
going to be June, July, August of 2021. And
Well,
the exact date really doesn't matter because who plans out the day of the week that far out anyway, right?
well, speak for yourself. I'm super organized like that. No, one thing you brought up the Winter Olympics. I mean, the Winter Olympics I think were scheduled for Beijing in 2022. So the Olympic Games are going to have to do if they keep that one, they don't push that one back, which you think, oh, that shouldn't be affected. But the same people who work at the IOC that plan the Summer Games plan the Winter Games. So are they going to do an Olympic Games in July and August of 2021 and then come back in February of 2022 and do a Winter Games? I mean, that in itself is just an absolute logistical nightmare. So will that impact what they do with the Winter Games is another, I guess, question. I don't know if Kevin has that here, but there's just so much to be done. Not just mentioning that we're all trying to keep ourselves safe by social distancing, by being on mandatory shutdown or whatever else is going on in the world. So, whew, I understand why the Olympics took their time, but this is not going to be a fun year and a half for them.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to impact the Winter Games. I think that uh, they'll either like beef up their staff and like hire more people so they can do two things at once. They'll lean even more on the LOC. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, local
What do you
organizing
call it?
committee.
Well, yeah, local
Yeah,
organizing committee. I think also, China has done the Olympics multiple times. So I think after doing the 2008 Olympics, I think that there'll be the infrastructure and the organization of like what do Olympics mean and like what do you need and not do. I think Beijing is kind of prepared to have less help because they've done it before and they did a good job in 2008. But I think that I don't think the Winter Olympics will be that affected. I think they'll just have to beef up more staff, and it'll just be a crazy few months for them. And then after the light goes out in winter of 2022, they're just going to take a really well deserved vacation. That's what's going to happen.
and
So,
get ready for Paris in 2024.
yes, yeah. Job security is pretty good if you're on the Olympic
Yeah.
committee. Because you always have something to look forward to. It never ends.
I guess so. All right, so we'll move on to question number 2. I think we already touched on it a little bit, but what happens to the 2021 World Champs that were set to be in Eugene? Ashton Eaton put it on his Twitter. He just said hashtag Eugene 2022. I assume that's the easiest thing to do, and maybe Eugene gets to figure out their hotel situation. Hopefully, everyone not having to come in from Portland. I think that was originally discussed for those champs. Yeah, they get another year to organize and plan. I mean, they're not going to come before the Olympic Games, of course. So I can't imagine any
Yeah,
other solution other than Eugene moving to 2022. What do you think?
yeah, I'm willing 99.99%. The World Athletics just moves the World Championships conveniently to an off year. I mean, it's so simple. Like
Yeah.
you can't get any simpler than having an off year right after. So it works out very well. It would have been more complicated if there was if next year was a World Championship. If you know if it got bumped into another World Championship year, but I don't think I don't think Eugene is gonna care. They're like, all right, we're 2022, more time to plan, more time to
Right.
get that stadium ready. So, uh, yeah, that's. I think that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the most obvious thing that's going to happen next is Eugene will just push to a new year.
And of course, it seems simple on paper. I imagine there's some hurdles they have to clear with moving it to the year, but moving it to another year. But Tracktown. I see your shirt. Vote Tracktown. I'm sure that was
Yeah, I wore it
an
on purpose.
accidental wear. Oh, you wore it on purpose. Nice. Viewers
Yeah,
can't see it, but that's that shirt is that shirt from back when was that? I forgot. That was like 2015 or something. Or when? What
yeah,
were
it's
they?
when they were
What were we
trying to
voting on?
they were trying to get the Doha game, the
Oh,
2019
okay.
World Championships, and then they didn't get it, and then a week later, like, well, we got 2021 with no vote, and everyone freaked out.
Yeah, that
Something
wasn't
fishy
sketchy
probably
at all.
happened. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there you go. More time to investigate possible bribery related to the
Yes.
Eugene World Champs.
Good old Liam Diak.
Yeah. um, yeah. 2022 seems logical. They're not going to push it beyond that because 2023 they're scheduled to be world champs in Budapest, and then, like we said, 2024 Olympics in Paris. 2025 we don't have a. Basically, 2020 will be our off year. It's scheduled to be the biggest year, and now it's going to be the off year. So that makes the most sense. I don't know what else you do with it because if you try to push it into 2021, keep it in 2021, I mean that would seem impossible for athletes. That's just going to majorly dilute the product. No one's going to care about a world champs when there's an Olympics in the same year. So 2022 would seem to make the most sense. Moving on to question number.
Well, I
Oh,
just
go
want to
ahead.
say one thing. I just want to give credit where credit is due. Every 4 years, we criticize the World Athletics of why do they have off years? Why do they have off years? It's so stupid. They've just
Mm-hmm.
been playing a long game. They were preparing for a virus outbreak to postpone the Olympics so they can use
There you go.
that slot to to not mess up their schedule. They're laughing all the way to the convenient bank. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to make a joke here, but you know what I'm trying to say. They kind of are lucky how they just have this off year to be able to make their schedule change super flexible. So that's all I gotta say about
Yeah,
that.
if it works out that way, yeah, you're right. It's built in and it helps them. I think we've all tried to figure out for years why World Athletics, why the IAAF has had an off year. It doesn't always
And now
make
we
sense.
know.
Why can't we? I guess we know they were planning for a rainy day or a viral day, if you will. Okay. Uh, Question number 3: what happens with other 2021 champs, the Commonwealth Games, Euros, etc.? I I don't think we can say that at this moment. I don't think anyone that's a track and field fan or participant or coach, athlete, whatever, is worried too much about what's happening with Euros or Commonwealth Games. Of course, those committees, those organizing committees, are going to be thinking about that. But I mean, no one really. The Commonwealth Games aren't at the top of the mind. I assume they will move appropriately and it will be in the correct position relative to the Olympic Games and the World
I
Champs. So they'll move along with wherever else all the major events go.
Well, I think what Commonwealth Games will happen. I'm not sure when they're scheduled to happen, but I think Commonwealth Games will happen early 2022. So therefore, end of 2022 is Eugene. So it would be like, just like a very glorified season opener for, half the world, right? And then Euros, I think they'll just push to be early 2021. And then so they're either they'll do early or they might kind of turn it into like a month later games. Like think about this. We used to have, I mean, not too long ago, we had Diamond League finals a month, like a week or a month after the World Championships, and it made no sense, right? Like
Right.
why we just saw them race for glory and then they're doing the same thing like 2 weeks later. I could see Euros just being, a month after the Olympics. They won't go a month before the Olympics, but do think they'll go a month after the Olympics, if I had to guess, for Euros. Because that's
You
a
just said
bunch of
that.
sports, right? That's not just track.
Yeah,
What?
of course, but you just said that doesn't make sense. Who's going to be interested in competing at Euros after the games? I mean, maybe
The
I guess
same
that's track and
people.
field is used to that, but
Yeah. Well, what else are they going to do?
I don't know. Just take the event and throw it in the trash can.
Do you know who's going to
There's
be
only so many
interested
events.
do you know who's going to be interested in competing at Euros? All the Europeans who don't medal, which will be a lot of them.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good
Right?
point.
It's another
All
chance to just have a championship. Hey, if you were a Frenchman and you got like knocked out in the second round of the 800, are you gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna go to Euros? That's too
Yeah.
low level
Okay.
for me. I just did the Olympics. You'll go to make a Euro final and see what you can do. You're still fit. It's not like you're gonna be burnt out, right? You've had
Okay.
2 years to train for the Olympics. What's an extra week?
Okay. Hey, I'll yield to you on that one. I'm just saying I don't care about the European Championships or the Commonwealth Games, but maybe when they come around again, I will. Okay. Question 4. And this one seems obvious, but what will they do with the U.S. Marathon Trials qualifiers? I think you have to keep them, even though Abdi's going to be 100 years old, and the qualifying event will have taken place. I don't know. What is that? How many months in advance is that? That's like 19 months in advance now. I mean, you just have to keep them, right? I already saw on Twitter today, Des Linden said, no, absolutely not. They're not going to rerun the trials. That would be outrageous. So the core of Alafine Tuliamak, Molly Seidel, Sally Kipyego, Galen Rupp, Jake Riley, and Abdi Abdurrahman, you keep them. Obviously, they earned it. It doesn't matter how far in advance. They earned it, and they'll still be raring to go by 2021. I assume you agree with that?
Yes, I unfortunately agree. As much as I want to have a hot take saying, no, you got to rerun it or see who's most fit, I mean, that's the idea of the trials. The trials isn't supposed to select the perfect 1, 2, 3, or else we would be like other countries and just pick whoever our Usain Bolt is for every event, right? But
Right.
they earned it, and like, who cares if they're not fit? Like, and they get last at the Olympics. They were fit when it mattered, and we can't just change it because the Olympics moved. So, I agree they should go. But I do think though, like maybe if you're still the fourth place finisher at the trials in the marathon, you still have an opportunity to get in if they get hurt. Now there's a lot more time for any of these 6 runners to get hurt, right? So if I was these people, I would stop training for an entire year, just sit on the couch, eat some Cheetos, and then go to the Olympics because you won't be hurt. So
that's a great plan. That is
yeah.
There's literally nothing wrong with that plan. I think you just gain a whole bunch of weight and totally
Can't
get
go
out of
wrong.
shape. I gotta blow my nose. Sorry.
Corona.
No, man, it's just a common cold. But sorry
Is
about
that the same towel? Have you been blowing into that same towel for like
No, I got a
48
new
hours
one.
now?
I'm glad the viewers are getting an inside look at what's going on in the Strike household right now. No, I got a new one. But trying to conserve toilet paper. I mean, I don't know. If not, we also bought a bidet.
Why are you trying to conserve toilet paper?
Because have you been to the grocery store recently? There's no toilet paper. Have you been paying attention to the news? There's no toilet paper.
That's not true. You know that, right? I literally walked out my store, walked to a nice little local Quickie Pickies, what it's called. There's toilet paper.
Yeah.
I went there 4 days later. There was toilet paper.
Well, it's because it's like $7 there. It's expensive.
Expensive.
All right. Do you think any athletes will be in support and will try to get USATF to rerun the marathon trials? Is there any scenario where that happens?
Hope so. No, there will be Twitter pundits who will be in supportive of it. They'll be like trolls. I don't think there'll be any like actual runners. They'll just be like fake runners who just want to be like, you should do it. Like Jonathan Marcus will probably say it, right? He'll be like, hey guys, we need to change it, or something like that. But I think no. Yeah. No, I mean, it's just like there's not even a situation where you can compare this to where like, no, you just don't. You don't need to redo it. You already had it. It's written on the rule book, right? The rule book says the winner, top 3 of this event, go. So that's just what we got to do.
As I rapidly blow my nose again, I'm sorry.
Oh man, you're dying. You're dying on us.
I'm struggling. Got to keep.
But I mean, okay. How about this though? do we think any athlete will, ask for ask for a rerun? Who would be the most likely athlete to raise their hand and be like, can we try again? Who would be the most likely athlete?
Well, obviously, yeah, you're looking outside the top three, clearly. I don't know. Who could I see wanting to redo it? I don't like. I mean, every athlete knows that they didn't make it, that it was fair and square. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I don't know. Leonard Career, Scott Fauble.
Putting names out there.
I'm putting names out there. I don't know. Do you have any?
Here's a compromise we could do. We rerun the race, but we give the top 3 a head start based on how much they won over 4th place by.
Still don't think they're going to want to do that.
So they have an advantage. So
I don't think there's any point in rerunning the race at that point. But
that would be great TV, though, wouldn't it? You'd watch it. Here's the thing: if we were in the business of like ratings and money and all that stuff, the way like other sports franchise would, this would be like the best idea ever would be to rerun it because everyone would want to watch it. They would hate watch it.
Right.
They would nerve-wrackingly watch it. Obviously, that's not going to happen because you got to do the right thing. But it would be great TV. Just take away the immoralness of it. Is that the right word? Unmoral reality
immoral
of it to the
immoral.
Immoralness of the I don't know what I'm saying, to the 6 athletes. It would still be great to watch. It's the same thing as like the NBA wanted to MLB's trying to change it so you like pick your playoff team or something like that.
Yeah,
it's great TV, right? That's what we need. Great TV.
Yeah. So, all right, that's not going to happen. I think we all agree. Okay. Question 5. What happens to the other Diamond League meets? I have no. What does the Diamond League even look like? I hadn't even wrapped my head around what the Diamond League was going to look like pre-coronavirus pandemic. So what happens with the rest of these? I don't know. I'm sure they'll try to the World Athletics will try to do their best to make the 2021 schedule for the Diamond League look just like it was supposed to look this year. But I don't know. Diamond League concerns are way down on the list. The entire track season is canceled with the Olympics. With the Olympics, what is the point?
To run fast because you love running. Go for what's the point of Carissa Schweizer running a 3K indoors at BU?
Oh my gosh,
there was no need for that, right?
Argument.
I'm just saying, she ran it because she wanted to run a fast time. People are gonna. I know you have a different perspective of the landscape of the situation, but I think in July and August, we're not going to be in a situation we're in March 24th, and people are going to want to go run track meets. They're going to go want to run, and I think, I can see Diamond League events happening. I don't think it's going to be completely canceled yet.
Yeah, well, we know the first 3 have been postponed and or canceled or whatever it was. So we're at least there. So that puts us to, I think it was Stockholm at May 24th or something like that. So I don't imagine those will go on, but maybe the ones that were later in the summer, we can salvage those. But
because the logistics of the necessity of canceling the Olympics is not as strong as the necessity of canceling a one-off Diamond League.
And I mean, to your point, athletes are going to want to try to salvage their earnings this year. So any prize money available, they are going to. I'm going to have to sneeze. Hold on.
And athletes are used to having every 4 years. Oh man, athletes are used to having every 4 years there being no global championships. So I don't see why this would tell all the athletes, "Oh, we're not going to run all year." Maybe 1 or 2 or superstars will take it off like a Usain Bolt does on off years, but. I think athletes, if there's track meets, athletes will run them. Actually, more than ever. They just want to get it out of their system in a way.
So if you had to put money on it, would you think we'll have any track meets in 2020? You think that maybe they'll be able to salvage some later Diamond Leagues?
Yes, 100%.
100%. I'm definitely not willing to go 100%. But okay. So keep the door open. Don't delete your whatever wherever the Diamond Leagues are streaming this year, which I don't know if that's been announced, but don't delete your subscription just yet. Okay. Uh, Question 6. Does anyone retire that was planning on continuing? I mean, I think of someone like Nick Willis, who I think this was supposed to be his last Olympic Games. He's in his upper 30s now. Don Harper Nelson was making a comeback. I don't think anyone is just because they get 1 year later, anyone's just going to be like, nope, that's it for me. I couldn't stretch it. I mean, Mo Farah is still going to want to compete on the track in 2021, you know? And if anything, maybe this stretches him into another year because he doesn't have to do any races this year if he doesn't want to. So the legs theoretically could be fresher. I don't know. But I don't see anyone just being like, oh, if the Olympic Games aren't in 5 months, then I can't do it. You know, everyone's going to be
Yeah, I
trying to
agree
run
because
still.
a big trigger for the retirement is like you have to have a situation where you get beaten, right? Or like you get shown that you can't do it anymore. If there's no race, they're not telling you you can't do it yet. So like that experience of not making an Olympic team or that experience of like going out in the first round of the Olympics and you're like, oh, my time's done. Or even that experience of winning your last medal. If you don't have any of those experiences, you're just going to wait to have them in 2021, which will trigger the retirements. And I think the Gatlins, the Allison Felix, Nick Willis, all these people, I think they need to
Right.
have that experience of finality. And right now, they just have the experience of, oh, just got to wait 12 more months for that finality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I don't think we need to keep going on that subject. I'm there with you. I don't think we're going to see anyone just be like, ah, you know what? That's it. I'm retiring. That's that's just like, you know, getting down to the bottom of the ice cream and you're like, nope, I can't take this last bite of cookie dough. I just can't do it. I ate the whole thing, but then I can't do it.
One thing that would be kind of just like emotionally kind of draining or like a, a shitty situation for some of these athletes is imagine a world where they are fit all year long and like they are able to, you know, feel like 2020 was going to be a great last year of fitness, but then they get hurt maybe like in January of 2021. And they're like, damn, man, I was so healthy in 2020 and now I get hurt. I wasn't planning on running into 2021 because I'm a year older. And this
Yeah.
injury would have never happened if the Olympics stayed where they were. So I think that might occur where there might be some unforeseen injuries, which, you know, that's life, right?
I
It's
just
life.
take care of your body. But yeah, them's the breaks, right? I mean, unfortunately, no one could have foreseen this coming, and I know athletes are still going to be going relatively hard to keep themselves in shape, and maybe if anything, some athletes go too hard and end up getting themselves hurt because they're like, oh wow, now I got this extra time. I'm just going to get so crazy in shape. But yeah, you gotta take care of your body and take it slower right now, knowing that 2020 is pretty much a wrap. Maybe that, like we said, there's some diamond leagues, but no excuse to be barring freak injuries to be out of shape, or excuse me, to be hurt coming into 2021. Okay, so let's move on to question 7. Who does this help? Gordon, I look at athletes without in the distance events without the standard, and that's who I think this helps. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should turn this into a two-part question. Who does it help and who does it hurt?
Okay.
Because I have a theory of who it hurts. So who do you say it
Okay, go
helps?
ahead.
Obviously, it helps people who don't have the standard because they get more time. Do you
Right.
think though that they will, you know, because you're supposed to get the standard between May 2019 to like the Olympics? Do you think they'll
Right.
like move the cutoff of
No.
the no?
No. What are
But
you gonna
that
you're gonna
means,
invalidate some athletes? Say your standard now happened outside the window? No, that would be ridiculous.
but like, if you're running the Olympics in 2021 and your time you got in on it was run in May of 2019, does that make sense?
Well, if for most people that are going to run it time in May in 2019, they're also going to have run it later, right? So people that ran fast at Peyton Jordan 2019, in all likelihood, maybe save like a few 10,000-meter runners. But, if you run fast in the Peyton Jordan 5K, you're also going to run fast later on in the year and probably at the World Championships. I don't think that will actually affect too many athletes. And I also don't think that World Athletics Day is going to change the standard
The window.
So I don't think it's a concern at all. I don't really think this hurts anyone.
I have an idea who it hurts.
To the standard, though. All right, you speak because I got to blow my nose.
Yeah. Who I think this hurts is it hurts first-year pros because they basically lose out on a year of understanding what it takes, and you need to kind of get that baptism by fire, right? Where you're just like thrown into it and whoa, like this isn't the NCAA anymore. This is a different, animal. Like they don't get to experience like what it's like to go to the Diamond League circuit or like experience a trials, right? Or just all these like big boy, big girl experiences that first year pros have to go through. They're not going to be given that opportunity. So they're going to be a second year pro with a first year pro maturity level. Not that you're immature or anything, but like, I just do think that experience helps. I mean, look at someone like Donovan Brazier. This guy, American record holder, runs 142, right? He's like one of the all-time great 800-meter runners of our time and will continue to be, and is going to have an incredible career. But let's remember, his first year as a pro, right out of college, got knocked out in the second round or the first round of the 800 first round of the 800 at the Olympics. And then he also had like a couple other
trials,
like,
Olympic trials.
The Olympic trials. He had a couple other hiccups until he kind of figured it all out. You need to have that. Like, you need to have kind of mulligan years to prepare you for like your prime. And I mean, I honestly think that if Donovan didn't have that Olympic trials experience, he wouldn't be where he is today, because he needed to kind of just learn like, hey, you're not racing 17 and 19-year-olds. You're racing like the best in the U.S. or the best in the world. And it's completely different experience. And he learned it. And now look where he is now. He's all-time great and will, when his career is over, be considered one of the best runners of all time in the U.S. for the 800. And I think there's a lot of athletes who are going to miss out on that mulligan season of their prime. So that's why I think it hurts. I think it hurts first-year pros.
Yeah, and that goes back to kind of what we were talking about last week when we were thinking, if the Olympics are postponed, of course, which they have been now, what does the situation look like for athletes that are, seniors, we're college seniors this year, that are looking to turn professional? Do brands sign anyone right now, knowing that there's no Olympic trials or Olympic games to market them for? And we don't know, it's TBD if there'll be any professional track meets this year. So you feel for, guys like we had on the podcast, Tyler Day and Joe Klecker and Danny Jones and a lot of other athletes, Devin Dixon and Alicia Monson, names like that are obvious professional candidates, but are they going to be able to sign contracts this year? I assume there'll be something in place for them. Brands are going to want to get a head start, but it's really, really unfortunate. And like you mentioned there, they don't get that first year trial by fire where you kind of learn the ropes by taking your lumps. They don't get that this year, which is a real tough position to be in. So yeah, I agree with you that the athletes on the verge of turning professional, this really hurts them.
Should we move to number 8? You've been trying to run through these. You're like on a rush, man. Do you have a hard deadline you're trying to hit?
No, I just never know when I'm going to sneeze again. I also haven't had breakfast, and I could use another cup of coffee if I'm being honest. But
how many cups of coffee have you had?
I've had one caffeinated and one decaf. I'm ready to go back to caf. I'm ready to go back to caffeinated coffee.
Why do you have decaffeinated coffee? What's the purpose?
My wife drinks decaf. She's pregnant, so she can't just pump the caffeinated coffee. So we usually go second pot decaf. But I'm gonna need more of that energy today. I'm gonna need the full strength stuff.
How many cups of coffee do you go through a day?
Oh,
average.
4 to 6 probably.
What about on like a day where you're like you got a lot of stuff to do and like you're moving?
Yeah, sure. When we were in Doha for the World Championships and my days and nights were all swung in the wrong direction, I was having 10 probably 10
10.
cups of
So
coffee, all caffeinated coffee too.
and you're
Yeah.
awake how many hours? Like
Oh, at those then
so it's like one
I
every
was
other hour? One every 90 minutes, basically?
probably safe to say. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
How do you go
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
sleep?
if you're oh, bodies can, it's all conditioning. My body's used to taking that much caffeine. Sometimes I stay up, it keeps me up, but for the most part, especially if I'm working hard, like on a trip like that where I'm working, 15, 16 hours a day, body is so ready to collapse by that time that it's not too hard. I'm used to it. I've built up a pretty solid tolerance.
So because you're building
It's
up the
like you with
tolerance,
Snickers bars, right?
I haven't had a Snickers bar in like
I'm
three
just joking.
years.
I don't know. I'm just
I
joking.
mean,
I'm just
I
joking.
gotta think of something that I'm addicted to. No, but like we're always talking about exponential growth and like because with the virus and all that and spreading the R naughts and all that stuff. So
Yep.
you started drinking coffee probably like 10 years ago.
Uh, let's see. Oh no, longer. No, I've been drinking coffee roughly 15 years, probably.
So 15 years. So that was 1 cup, 15 years, and now we moved up to 8 cups. We'll say 7 cups, 15 years later. So you move up basically a cup of coffee every 2 years, right? About.
Uh, well, I'm trying to slow down. Yeah, I'm hoping
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, but
slow
that's where we're
down.
going.
Is this an
So
intervention? What is
yeah,
this? What is going
so
on
what
right
I'm
now?
saying is like, so how old are you now?
29.
29. So 10 years from now, you're gonna be you're gonna be going 10 plus cups of coffee regularly
I-
at age
I'm ready
40.
for it.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna hit 50, man. You gotta bend that curve. You gotta flatten that
hmm
curve. That's what you need to do. This cup of
I'll
coffee
slow it
curve.
down. Yeah, I'll temper it with beer,
There
So
you go.
just they even each other out. One's an upper, one's a downer, and I'll just be right in the middle, playing it right down the fairway. Uh, okay, now that we've had the Lincoln coffee intervention, can we go to
Flatten the
question
Lincoln
8?
coffee curve. Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
question 8.
Which event or events does postponement most impact? Well, one thing, it allows the marathoners to not have to choose between the fall 2020 rescheduled events or just the New York and Chicago events and the Olympic Games, as they were going to have to choose from. Because if the Olympic marathon would have gone ahead in August, you're not going to be able to run, theoretically, or most likely, you're not going to be able to run Boston 6 weeks later, or or Berlin 7 or 8 weeks later. So it, at least in that regard, for the marathoners, it's good in a sense. Uh, Otherwise, what events? I don't see any event that it's necessarily going to dramatically impact. I don't know. Maybe the race walks. I have no idea what they're doing right now, but the marathon is the primary one, and I think it impacts it positively.
Well, I think the events actually get impacted the most because of this whole delay. I think it's the sprint events because I think
Okay,
there's
tell me
just
why.
like I just think that um, a lot of these sprinters aren't going to have as many opportunities to like get in fast like good efforts in different events, whether it's Diamond League events or like what just like these sprinters are just going to be cooped up like doing lifting and starts and like 300s and 200s and like random cut downs on their track, and I just think they're not going to be as polished going into 2021 because they're going to have too much of a time off from racing. That's what I think they're going to be. I think the times in the sprint events aren't going to be good until 2022 because I think they're going to need a year of like repolishing the engine, because I just think like a distance runner can go out there and just stay fit like by doing miles and just hitting the trails and just staying fit, but I just think the fine tuning of a sprinter needs like that race experience, that those race reps to kind of tune themselves up for a championship performance. Because you think about it, like a lot of sprinters, like Justin Gatlin will start off running like 10:09, right? And then by the end of the year, he's running like 9:9, 9:8, whatever. And that's because he kind of races himself into shape. I think some sprinters are going to be more out of shape than they normally are with such a long break. I mean,
Count.
they're still going like Noah Lyles and Christian Coleman are still going to be world class, and they could run fast backwards. But I just think overall the depth of sprinting won't be as strong because of this.
Yeah, and you brought up Coleman, and that was going to be my counterpoint to that. He just showed up at USA's having not run a meet indoors this past winter and ran 6:37, and he didn't even get a great start. If he got a good start, he would have broken his own world record in his first meet of the year. So, yeah, I think it gives a bigger advantage to guys like Lyles and Coleman who are established and who have shown they can run fast from the beginning of the season right off the bat. So if you're a guy like them, obviously anything benefits the superstars, but I could see that being helpful to them. Michael Norman starts fast as well. But, I don't know. These athletes, you can run sprint races in practice, right? I mean, you can do that for any distance, but you can run 100 all out in practice. And sure, you don't have that competition, but I mean, they can simulate time trials multiple times a week, whereas distance runners can't really do that. So
I just feel like it's different when you're it's just different time trial. Whereas I feel like a time trial distance event is not as different because you're putting your body to that level of hurt, With sprinters, it's all about timing with the gun, the nerves, all that stuff. The pressure. There's a lot more pressure in sprinting events.
Yes. I was going to say Ronnie Baker didn't get the standard in 2019 because he was injured, and then the U.S. champs were very windy. Now he still does not have the standard. Ronnie Baker is going to go 2.5 years without getting the standard. It's going to be real tough on him, but at least he has more time to get it.
How great it would be though if Ronnie Baker just keeps on getting tailwinds of 2.1. He's running really well, but he just can't get the damn standard. For those who don't know, it's been an ongoing joke within the FloTrack team that Ronnie Baker just never will get the Olympic standard or even the world standard for that.
Yes, and no, not because we dislike him or anything like that. It was just last year was crazy events in Des Moines, a combination of either getting a legal tailwind or a ridiculous headwind that prevented him from getting the time. And last year was a unique scenario in which you couldn't chase after the U.S. champs. He didn't end up making the top 3, so it didn't matter. But it was just so many things working against Ronnie Baker, and now it continues. He had a good indoor season though.
But if he would have finished top 3 in that race, that time would not have been the standard, and he would have not been selected, which would have been crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to question number 9. We already touched on it. I think we've touched on almost all these, but how will this impact the marathon schedule? A lot of races this fall. I think those go ahead as planned, assuming everything is settled, at least, calm down a bit. Maybe worst case scenario, you run just the elite races. But I even me being as negative on this situation as almost anyone could be, I think we'll be somewhat back to normal by September and October. So we'll have all those races. It's just going to be a crazy fall with basically all the spring races going to be in fall. We're going to have Boston, London joining Chicago and New York and Berlin. It's just going to be an absolute madness. World half in October.
Amsterdam, Paris.
Who knows? The NBA Finals might be around then too. It's gonna be a nuts. When we come back from this time, it's gonna be insane.
I don't want to say this because that would imply that the Celtics are in the NBA Finals, which I don't want to say. But if there's an NBA Finals the same week as the Boston Marathon,
it could be crazy.
Kind of wild. But we're not going to think that because the Celtics are not making the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's the Sixers all the way, right? This is benefiting the Sixers. Yeah, of course. So that'll just I don't think, like I said, I don't think this really hurts the marathoners that much. It actually helps them, right? Because now they can still do the Olympics while also running the spring, or a fall marathon. It'd be interesting because I think we're going to see now we're going to get to see athletes that qualified in the U.S. Olympic Marathon trials. They're going to get to run a fall marathon, which, they wouldn't have otherwise. So, and for athletes that are lower tier than like say Galen Rupp, that benefits them financially. Like Jake Riley, I assume will get solid appearance money for wherever he wants to run, and the same is true for Alafine Tuliamuk. Whereas they wouldn't have been able to run those fall marathons, and therefore wouldn't have been able to capitalize on right away on their top 3 finish. Now they get to solidly profit from that and get the appearance money in Boston or get it in Chicago that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Do you think though they get to call themselves Olympians yet?
Yeah, of course they're Olympians. I mean, we all say you're Olympian.
But they didn't run at the Olympics yet.
Yeah, they're Olympians. I don't. You can have that argument all day. They're Olympians.
I don't think you become an Olympian until you step on in a race.
This is an egg and a bird argument here.
You're an Olympian elect. Olympian elect, right? That's what they call the president elect when they get for the few months before they actually get inaugurated. Olympian elects for a whole year.
This is a chicken and an egg argument here. I think you're saying they're Olympians and they're a lot higher profile than they would have been otherwise. So those athletes will benefit by getting, if they want to run a fall marathon this year and get that appearance cash, and get to show some more fitness. That'll be cool. All right.
So I don't like that final question. So I'm changing the last question for you. And I'm gonna.
Oh God, yes. Don't make me talk about world rankings, dear Lord.
Yeah. So this is the final question. Will the postponement of the Olympics open up the door for Galen Rupp to try to qualify in the 10K?
No, I mean, I think he's done with the track at this point, other than tune-up races. I mean, sure, it could, but maybe he tunes up at the trials with a race, and then he's not going to run both though, right? He's not going to, because the 10,000 would come first. He's not going to do that again. He's going to be 34 next year when he runs. He hasn't been running enough in the track. 2016 was a different scenario, just a few months prior, he had run at the 2015 World Championships, and 2016, he was he was still 29. It's been a long time since then, and especially given his injury concerns. So maybe he runs at the trials as a tune-up, but that's all it was. Even if he qualified, he wouldn't run both at the Olympic Games.
Okay, assuming they won't run both at the Olympic Games, and he does run the 10K as a tune-up at the trials, where would he finish? Do you think he could win
the trials now over guys like Lamong and Shadrack Kipchirchir? No. I mean, he hasn't been doing that type of speed work for too long. No. 2016 was his last year on that he could be effective on the track, and that's just because of what he had to commit to as a marathoner, volume wise, and basically just volume wise, and not even considering his injury issues. I mean, we remember he didn't finish a marathon from 2018 up until the Atlanta trials, so he's entered a point where he has to be cautious with his health, and I think we're going to not see him take any sort of risk in that regard. But where he would not finish in the top 3. Especially another, what is it going to be? Almost, more than a year in advance when the U.S. Olympic trials take place. No, I mean, there's going to be guys, like I said, Kipchirchir will still be there. Career might still be there. Lamong, in all likelihood. There could be other guys that come in there. Who knows? Edward Cheserek might be a U.S. citizen at that point.
Ooh,
I mean,
do you think has Cheserek officially taken the? That's a good point.
No, he didn't. He didn't compete.
He has officially declared Kenya, right? Yeah. So this might give him an extra year to try to be an American.
Absolutely. I don't know the ins and outs entirely, but absolutely, I think this benefits. Yeah.
So Cheserek might be the ultimate winner here, trying to get an extra year to try to get that citizenship.
Yes, as my son walks in the room right now. So, what do you think about Edward Cheserek getting citizenship? My son's asking me if I'm done. He's not concerned about Edward Cheserek's citizenship right now. We're approaching the 50-minute. We're approaching the 50-minute mark, son. What are you watching?
Power Rangers.
My son's watching Power Rangers. This new generation of Power Rangers is not as good as the old stuff back when we were kids. It's almost unwatchable, but he likes it.
Are you one of those guys? Back in my day, I used to walk up to both.
Power Rangers is so much better back then. 90s Power Rangers all the way. I don't know about the current stuff. It doesn't have that same quality.
Are you done?
Well, we have some mailbag questions we'll get to, I guess, in future pods.
Mhm.
Oh, look, you can see your son. Show Knox in the video.
Okay.
There you go. Hey,
he's
Knox.
coughing. He's coughing, but he's good. I promise
Corona.
we're healthier. We're healthier than we appear. I swear it. We only have a few questions to get to, so I don't know. Maybe we can.
We'll save the mailbag for tomorrow.
Okay, we can save it.
Yeah.
We'll save it. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. We have a long time until track is back.
Yes,
so
we can really save everything. Yeah.
Again, but though, if you want to email the pod, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. I also have some other fun questions we can hit throughout the week. Eventually get some more guests on the podcast. Again, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. Email us. No Olympics in 2020. Are they still going to call it the Tokyo 2020? But just have
you got to rebrand. I didn't even think about that. That's definitely a loser. They got to rebrand. I guess you just change the 0 to a 1, right? But
how many things have already been printed? Right? Have they printed all the signage?
So many flyers need to be cleaned up. Dude,
that's good. People are gonna have like the old 2020 version and be like, "Yo, I have like this limited edition 2020 Tokyo flyer that no one knows about."
Well, who cares about the flyers? What about the medals? Did they make all the medals? They're gonna have to change those. Yeah.
No, they're gonna have to give them away.
Yeah. Look out for eBay for the Tokyo 2020 medals.
That's probably going to be more valuable than the 2021 medal. No?
Yeah, my son is.
Maybe this will cue Olympic games to not put the year in the title of their Olympics, so therefore they don't have to worry about.
Yeah,
the way Super Bowl, they got to do like Super Bowl set way. Super Bowl 52, 53.
I mean, the official name of it is like the whatever it was, like the Latin number, and then Olympiad. So maybe that's just what's on there. I'm not exactly sure. So, anyways, my son is trying to be like a tiger in front of the camera. So we better sign off for now. But email the pod at FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Hopefully, Kevin Sully will have his internet figured out by then. Who knows? But so many questions left to answer. We'll sign off for now. For myself, Lincoln Shrike, Gordon, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Coffee. We will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Yes.
I want my